and it detracts from things. So thanks for showing up. We're really excited to see the new plans and talk about the possible future new fire station. Take it away, Bob.
Thanks. And so Barbara, myself, and Frank have been involved in this project for a good year and a half now, and certainly Barb goes back a lot longer. But what got voted on last year at the March meeting was a design and engineering study to really look at what a site-specific station would look like if it were situated between the town office and the current fire station with no rear exit. And so that's what we presented to the legislative body at the town meeting, and that's what we've been working on ever since. And so we're at the point now where the design, we have 50% drawings, and that's what we're sharing with you tonight. And as those get more fine-tuned, we'll work to 100% of the information that we need to share with you. And so we expect those 100% drawings to be right around end of November, first, second week of December, right in that area there. We'll know everything we need to know. So tonight, we're just sharing the scope of the building that we have and where we're at with it at this point. And it is, Barbara said it's conversational. That's what it's designed to be. It's designed to be an opportunity for everybody to get every question they have answered to the best of our ability to answer it today with the 50% scope where we're at. And so we've got a lot of the key players up here, and so we'll just go around and introduce yourself. And
Jay Henry, Fire Chief, I think everybody knows.
Michael Couture, I'm the architect.
Bert Phillips, civil engineer.
I'm John Ritchie with Ritchie Construction. I'm working with everybody to put budgets together, and so that's my role.
Tim Scott, I'm a community representative, and I was involved with the North Conway Fire Department when they were building their new building 3-4 years ago.
And in addition, on the committee, there's Anthony.
Hi, Anthony Giovanni, silent consultant.
Great.
Peter, non-consultant.
And in addition, Emily Betson's been involved in looking at, funding opportunities, which we're still looking for. And so I'm just going to turn it loose to the experts up here. I thought maybe Jay could spend a little bit of time talking about the functionality of where we're at with this building, and then we'll be able to get to hear from Burr, the engineer, Mike, the architect, and John's here, and then just open it up, because we want to know what's on your mind. And there's only one way to do that, and that's ask you to share it. So, Jay, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks. So before I start, I just add Emily. Emily's been working on the grant stuff, trying really hard to try to find grants, which hasn't been going great, but she has got countless hours in the grants and any fundraising, any ways we can come up with funding so that town doesn't have to foot the entire bill. So she's part of the team, I guess.
You just keep saying you can't give up yet.
Don't give up yet. So as far as functionality and operations, what we've got designed, keep in mind this is our year 7 on this. So we didn't just start this overnight. And from everything we've looked at, many different sites, many different sites, on campus, off campus, out of town, everywhere. This is probably the most functional operations and function. It's the best setup we've actually come up with really the only on-campus site that's available. So basically everything you see here, whether it's the offices, storage space, decon laundry area, showers, chief's office, locker room, apparatus bay, meeting room. Everything here is way more function than what we have now. Most of you have been in the fire station and know what it's like to walk around the fire trucks and have safe space and all that. So our needs and functions, basically operations that are met with this design. I can't really, there's really no negatives to it. We ended up, we'd be able to go into a full design, basically with the money that you raised at town meeting last year. It's making a big difference in figuring out exactly what we need and to come up with everything we had to come up with. So that's what I've got.
Thanks, Jay. I wanted to get both the architect and the engineer to kind of share where they're at with their end of the project now, and you know, it's not going to be too long, and then we'll be opening it up to questions. But Bert, why don't we start with you on the site where you could share where we're at with that.
Pull this up there, a little bit closer to people. So, as Jay briefly alluded to, the site's next door between here and the existing fire station. And we had spent a bunch of time a couple of years ago looking at different sites. And just as a quick recap, shouldn't say a bunch of sites, there was really two other sites. One right over there next to the library, and the other was reusing the existing fire station site. This site pretty much got rolled back just from sort of resistance pushback to having it near the library, I think was the primary reason for it. People just did not want the fire station over there. It's actually a pretty decent site. And the other one, it's just a poor construction site. You're in the middle of a drainage, and the soils are, when we've dug some pits there, the soils are just, it's a lot of it's old wetland that's just been filled in over the last, 100 years or whatever it's been. And there's a drainage where all the water goes through. There's also the logistical problem is that if you're tearing down the fire station to build a new one, what do you do for the fire department while it's under construction? So another site kind of makes some sense on that end of it as well. So we ended up going in between the two buildings and came up with a little bit different design. So the general scheme is that there's a 2-level fire station. So from the street, when you come in, the apparatus bay, the trucks, a lot of the operational stuff, I guess I'm using the right word, is on that lower level. And then there's an upper level that works out to be basically the same elevation as the building we're in. So you'd come into the site, go around the building. So if here's Route 16A Main Street. If you come in around, here's our existing town office, the proposed fire station, the old fire station over here. It looks like I got the wrong color there. So when you come in, you come around the back through this parking lot, you will have a new, smaller parking lot in the back, which would be at the same level essentially as that one. So people can get in, ADA access, come into this building, into the upper level, which would be more meeting spaces, kitchen, more administrative things in the second level. Mike can go over what's in there. And then you can continue through and tie into the access road that goes up to the Public Works garage. So that's sort of the basic concept of two floor now, the operational down floor and more of administrative on the second floor of the building. I've got another advantage is we still have this space over here to use behind the fire station for parking if we need it.
So yeah, any response for calls, that'll pretty much be the majority of parking. That way you're going right in at the ground level where the apparatus and all the day operations are. So the back parking lot is mostly for meetings or overflow or other uses of the upstairs back portion.
Yeah.
So over where the old salt shed is and the old highway garage, and that's all will be fire department parking for calls.
I guess the other considerations of this site were the building's pushed back a little further, so it's more in line with actually the town office. So it gives them more room to maneuver in and out of the fire station, whereas right now it's pretty tight. I think they have to go pretty much across the road to back in and out, whereas now they've got an extra almost 35 feet there, so they can use that maneuver and just stay out of the travel way. It's also still really close to the police station and the town office. So there's access from here, and you can walk across the parking lot into it. So it works well with the police station, town office, and obviously close by the public works garage, which I think in a lot of situations everybody works together to a certain degree. I could go over more questions if people have them later on details, but that's the general siting, how it works and how it's selected.
Are you, or Mike, gonna talk about the aesthetics of it, like the curb appeal, what do you see?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So, I'm going to talk to you about construction type and kind of the layout a little bit, but first I want to give a big thanks to Jay, because he's put an amazing amount of time into just figuring out what this fire station needs to be. 16A right here, so we have 4 apparatus bays. You can pretty much fit any truck in any of the bays.
Yep.
We got a hose tower in the corner, extends up, you can see it right here. So that's all open inside. There's a set of stairs that's accessed from the meeting room upstairs to some stairs to get up to the pole where you can drape the hoses over. Out in the front, there's a dispatch office, chief's office right behind it. This is the general entrance for the ground floor. Okay. Firefighters coming in and out, they come in through a gear room right here. There's an access to the apparatus bay. There's another shorter bay in the back that can be for a pickup truck or as a wash bay. All the bays have a trench drain in them with a very slight pitch to the slab, so everything drains off the floor there. From this line back, it's from here to around here, it's pushed into the bank. This corner here is pretty much at the lower level outside. So this creates sort of a basement space that we put a bunch of the function spaces, storage, bathrooms, showers, laundry area. They've got a workshop, stairs to the second floor, a women's room, and a Lula lift, which is kind of a downsize elevator for ADA access between the 2 floors. So if we come upstairs, same stairs coming up, that's your access to the hose tower right here, and it gets up to a platform that can reach that pole. Got a nice big meeting room that you can use as, what are you calling it, an emergency response?
Operations center.
Yeah. It's a nice big room, it's like 20 by 30 feet. Bathrooms, some storage space, there's a couple of offices that haven't really been designated yet.
No, not designated.
And then a kitchen, pretty much a full kitchen and a small bunk room. As far as construction type, it's wood frame construction. Wood frame walls, the apparatus bay walls, the lower level walls are 8-inch walls, 2x8, and double 2x8. We got a big span wood trusses that are spanning the space. The area that, what I call the basement, that floor is a steel frame, metal pan, concrete deck. So that creates, that's the floor to the second floor. And then from there, it's wood framed again. And the apparatus bay, we've got an 18-foot top plate height, so you can pretty much stand on top of the truck and walk around and do what you need to do.
Yeah, in the wintertime, like right now, you can't get on top of the truck in the wintertime inside. You can, but you hunt straight over. So now we'll be able to, a couple things we can do in the apparatus bay is we can actually work on the truck in the winter inside, like if you're repacking hose after a fire. You can actually lift the cabs up inside. You can't do that right now. So the space in the apparatus bay is all set up for that.
Exterior walls are, per energy code, we're using an insulated zip panel. The siding is it's like a reconstituted wood product. It's LP Smart. We're using a tongue and groove, but it's like a wood and resin. It's very durable. We used it on the community center in North Conway. That's been there for 10 years, so it's brand new. The roof is a cold vented metal roof. All the trim is PVC. We got nice fire overhead doors. I don't know what color you're looking at yet, red, I guess.
We haven't finalized colors.
Right. And then we have it's sort of a dummy timber frame on the front of it, but it's not dummy when it gets over here. It's actually holding the roof that's over the access to the dispatch area. And that's.
I think one of the key points we did, I call it a split level. So it's a 2-story building, but you can see it's split in height, and it makes a big difference in looks, because if we had 2 stories over the entire building, it would look like a gigantic warehouse. Anybody that's been by Molten Borough Station, it's pretty huge. So we did everything we could to come up and meet the needs, but try to make it look good, without going over the top on costs on that. So I call it a split level, because you've got, the upstairs is only over the back of the building, and you can see the roof drops down. I call it a split level.
Yeah, that's got good sense of proportion with the tower and stuff. I think it's
All right,
reads like a fire station.
which was the intent.
Right.
Thanks, Mike. John, do you have anything that you feel could stand some clarification as we go around the table and everybody kind of shares where they're at with their piece of the costing and
No,
design?
I think we've built, I don't know, 25 fire stations, and each one's unique, but I think this building is set up to be a long-term asset to the town. I think it fits what the chief needs today, but I also think there's some room to grow. I like the location of it. The design fits with Jackson, so I think it's a great design for where we're at, and I think the chief's input has made this really go along quite smoothly. So
People might want to know how you fit in the contracting and how the pricing works on the project, just in generally speaking, the guaranteed maximum.
So we're a team, but my lead is to coordinate subcontractors' pricing. And the goal for us is to, by the end of November, have a price that we can guarantee to the voters in March. Oftentimes, we've seen it where the design team will take their own numbers on it. They'll go to March town vote, and then they put it out to bid and realize, oops, that we didn't ask for enough. So the goal here is to deliver a price that is guaranteed come March. If the voters approve it, that a contract is signed, the bonding company stands behind it, so whatever that number is, it's guaranteed. And if it goes a dime over, the bond company gets called and they finish it. So it truly will be a guaranteed maximum price. And with everybody, you know, when design gets in front of construction, it gets awkward, but we've all started together, we're all gonna finish together. It really makes it a great process.
Yeah. John's our reality check. You know, we're not just going off and designing something and then the price is a surprise at the end of it. You know, we're getting his feedback as we go, and if we're doing something that's, you know, out of control, he's gonna tell us right off the bat, or we just don't go down that road. So it's a huge asset having that through the design process.
Could I just add something to that? I've been part of these meetings as well. And you should be assured that this is a building that is not about wants, it's about needs. It has been cut, expensive things that would be nice to have, they've been taken out. It's really what the town needs for the next 50 years. And Jay has done a good job, as everybody else. So I think you will find that this is, is Roy Anderson, the fair, will always say, build what you want, not what you need, and that's what we're hopefully going to do this year, or these votes this year.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
Build what you need.
Build what you need, not what you want. That was actually
I'm gonna quote you on that
We know
too.
what that.
right.
Yeah, so, and all the subs, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, we've had companies work on everything from what type of sill caulk to whether we want to have a EV charge ready space out there in the back, and just really looking at all the details that we think could make a difference for the town, without adding a lot to the cost of the project. And so there may be things that are ready to take solar panels or charge cars, but that doesn't include everything necessary for somebody to hook up a car. It'll be there in the future if the town wants it. You know, we're trying to keep this thing to the bone. As well as have it fit into the site. I mean, if you follow this project, there was one floor plan, and it was, the attempt through the years was made to situate it in different spots, and that's why we had to go with a different design, because there was too much encroachment into the library's programming, and it wasn't gonna work over there, but we still wanted it in the town campus, but that old floor plan was humongous when you had doors opening out back and asphalt all around it. And so it's a drastically smaller footprint, and the second floor ends up adding a lot of efficiency to the construction. It's much cheaper to build a second story than a first story. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Barb, if you got anything you want to add to this
Well,
before
you
we
just
open it
mentioned
up?
solar, and I was gonna ask about that, because we did put a lot of solar panels with the highway garage in this area. Are we gonna be able to tap into that? Because you mentioned that might be something in the future. Are we gonna be able to tap into our existing solar capacity with the new fire station?
So what we're talking about right now is getting it all set up, running conduit, not including solar panels, but if solar panels want to be placed on the roof, it really is a connection to the infrastructure that's in place as part of this original design.
So my part on that was always, whether it's EV chargers, solar panels, those are really wants. You know, and if the taxpayers down the road want to go that route, then I felt as though it should definitely be a whole separate warrant article than what the needs are. But we are doing, you know, things underground and in the walls to prepare for solar or EV.
Also,
I
if I could add just to that, when we were building Tin Mountain, the donor paid for the solar panels once the building was finished. So that was an add-on, that was a nice to have, that was paid on by a donor, but not by the people who actually raised the money to build the building, so.
And
Do you have one more?
Just one more. Did you prepare anything different in the building of this, or any of your equipment needs for fires with electric vehicles or anything like that?
No, it's nothing really to do with the building. That would all be truck related, equipment related, you know,
Okay.
fire apparatus related. The only piece of that is, like, the apparatus bay is bigger than what we have now, and it's, you know, you can actually work around the trucks, in the trucks, training comfortably and safely. So when we practice stuff like that, or try to figure out what we got for equipment for calls like that, then this is definitely way easier to, you know, right now this truck's just squeezing in like this to try to open the cabinets and make sure the equipment's put back, so. But as far as the actual building goes, it's really got nothing to do with EV
Okay.
car fires or fires like that. We looked at the future of fire trucks and, you know, where they're gonna go down the road, whether it's hybrid or electric or whatever. And we definitely don't want a charging station in the building. Because that can cause big problems. And in talking with the fire truck manufacturers, full-blown electric fire trucks are just not really feasible for any time in the future. Hybrid, you may see some hybrids, but to have a full-size Class 8, 40,000-pound vehicle that's full-blown electric that runs a fire pump and water and out in the cold, like, it's just not, it's a long ways out there, so.
Those aren't driven enough to make a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
The biggest modern thing we've done is the cancer stuff, and, you know, we've got a decon room, laundry room, that, which this was kind of my design, I guess. Yeah. So this is this back corner, which is a little bigger than we had before, because this site worked out way better with the deeper fire station. So you kind of walk in here, and this is like a hot zone room where you'd like strip down and garden hose stuff off and clean your SCBA. And you kind of walk into this next back room with like a half wall here, which is washer dryer, you know. So then you're starting to clean your clothes and stuff, getting things cleaned up. And then you go into a whole nother section here that's just a narrow section with 2 shower stalls. So if you went in, you're kind of going in a hot zone, a warm zone, then you're in a cold zone where you take a shower and you come out clean. So the cancer, you know, all the stuff with cancer going on, this is a big item for now and even more in the future, especially with new, you know, younger people. Everybody, the older we get, the more concerns we have with cancer. So that was kind of a big, huge change, because we have nothing right now. Nothing. I mean, we do have a shower, but it's, you know, we have a washing machine, but no real clean space to make it function properly.
Thanks for pointing that out, Jay. Frank, you've been involved in this project since, for the last year and a half. Is there anything that you'd like to add about where we're at with this that has been glossed over?
Well, I just want to say, just go back 3 years when we said no to 5.7 million. Of course, we don't know what the cost is now. But as I understand it, the way the scale of this thing has become smaller, so that can we anticipate it'll be something less than 5.7 million? That 2 out of 3 selectmen said that's too much and we didn't allow it on the warrant. So I'm just getting just a feel for where we might be heading in terms of amount compared to 5.7 million 3 years ago.
Yeah, and we
That's all, that's the only thing.
And we talked about that, but, you know, sharing a bad number that's not an accurate number is probably, you know, not going to do anybody a service here tonight. I mean, and we're looking at 50% really of the scope, so it's premature to feel like we're honed in on a number that makes sense to share tonight, but that's our goal, is to get that number. I mean, this warrant article that's funding this work is all going to be utilized between now and December 31st. It's the calendar year that the warrant article is running for, so we will have that number, and it will be accurate, and a GMP, guaranteed maximum price, that John talked about, is something we're going to be able to hang our hat on, and of course then there are other options. Things to look at as well, you know, funding assistance through grants, funding assistance through capital drives, things like that. So just too early, and I really wouldn't want to give anybody false hope or just put out a number that's anything less than accurate. I just don't think it would be responsible, but I'm like you.
Yeah,
I
I was anticipating maybe it'd be a little bit less because the scale of the project is smaller. But that's okay,
Yeah.
I understand the cost of things and wherever it comes out, but I just wanted to get that out
Yeah.
there, let people think about it.
Yeah, Well, and everybody's gonna have plenty of time to think about it once that comes out, I'm sure. And that's why it was so important to hit the ground running here in April, and there's been a lot of work done, no question about it, and we feel comfortable that when that number comes out, it's something that, as John mentioned, it's gonna be related to a guaranteed maximum price, so. Is there anything, Anthony or Peter, Emily, you'd like to share or that we missed before we open it up? Because I do want to hear from anybody in here that's got questions or concerns that we can help with. So we wanted to take 30 minutes, give the brief overview. We're kind of there. What did we go over? 3 minutes over maybe or something like that. So is there anybody that has something they want to share about the project or questions that we'll answer everything we can? Yeah, Laura.
I just had a question about, just more information about the decision to do away with a drive-through bay. You're gone back to backing.
Yep, so I guess that was a negative. I mean, our original designs were drive-through, drive-in, drive-out, which some stations have it like it, some stations don't. You lose a little bit of storage on the walls, back to back wall when you have a drive-through. And there's always probably a majority of the time, there's 1 or 2 trucks behind you that you can't drive through anyway unless you move it. So that was a little bit of a sacrifice by going to this site, this newest site. But I think the sacrifice made the operations of the rest of the building much better as far as access and having the upstairs. So it's definitely not a deal breaker. Would have been nice, but it wouldn't work out over here. I mean, over here, it was gonna work out pretty decent. But over here, it just doesn't fit the site. You can't make it.
And the site work would have been major. To clear that out so that everything was on that level. Think about clearing out back far enough so you could actually have a fire truck exit out back and turn around, and that would have been an incredibly large footprint.
Well, it wouldn't even, because of the bank and, I mean, sorry, Mike. We're at a higher level here, so even if you wanted to have it drive through and dig all this out, you're still gonna have a little bit of a bank in here, so no matter what, you'd end up with a basement corner there that whatever room was over there, you'd feel like you're in a cave.
But even on a flat site, there's a lot of cost involved.
Yeah.
Having a drive-through, you've just double the amount of overhead doors, you've
Yeah.
double the amount of pavement you can't even use for parking, it's just.
Yeah, pavement was big. I mean, it works, it's gonna work out better, much better this way.
Do you see any issues with getting the fire trucks out or backing them back in with this design?
No, we've got way more than we have now, probably double what we have now. So it shouldn't be any issues with pulling in and out anymore like we do now. We have to pull, right now we have to almost drive onto the sidewalk to be able to get the truck spun around to be able to back it in the station.
Can you pull a truck out now and have it not go to the road to get out of the car?
You're on the white line. Right now, you gotta pull completely out of the station, put your bumper on the white line, and then crank it hard. And you're usually in the other lane when you're going.
And the Newton 9?
This one will be able to, the flow is gonna be much better.
A
little bit snug with this telephone pole that's here, but we're gonna have curbing and stuff on this little island. But it's gonna be 10 times better than what we got now.
Like the existing fire station, I think it's like between 35 and 40 feet from the edge of the road, the near edge of the road, and the front of the fire station. Whereas with the new fire station, it's 75 feet. So it's
75
only-
feet?
75 feet versus, I think it's 35 or 40 feet. So it's almost double the distance there. So it helps compensate for not having the drive-through on the back of the fire station, which, I just, a side comment on that is, you could make it work, but it would be an awful lot of work to make it work, because, part of the issue is if you come out that lower level, you have the public works service going up to the public garage, so now you're coming out at too low a level. So you have too steep a grade to get from the back of it to the public works garage, and then you end up rebuilding that public works access there too, which just snowballs. So.
You've got pretty much balanced site right now.
I'm not sure on the cut and fill exactly what they are, but it does work out so that the grades are pretty even right through the back of the site compared to what's there now.
Is there another hand up over here or any, go ahead, Ken.
Two questions. One is, how much wider are the bays than the ones we've all visited?
Inside,
Yeah.
16 feet per bay, I think. So you're able to, you've got, I think there's 16,
16.8.
you get 16 feet
And how wide are the old ones? Or the ones that-
and 12, which includes an 8-foot truck, 9-foot
Okay,
truck.
oh, that's great.
So you got basically a 9-foot truck, and then you've got plenty of room to stand there and open cabinets and do whatever you gotta do versus trying to open cabinets like this.
Great. And I just had a kind of a general question. Can you talk a little bit about where the trade-offs, how you discuss the trade-offs at the edge of wants and needs? Like, is there anything about this building that would, if we changed it, it would really make you more able to fight fires? Or is it?
It
Where do
meets-
you give up? I guess I'm just curious.
This building,
Yeah.
I don't think all we've done is improve from where we're at. We haven't given up, I guess we're giving up our couches upstairs. The meeting room is huge in the existing fire station, but we're losing our couches around the edge of it. I guess that's the only loss.
I think you might be talking about wants and needs of the new station though. Like, I think what's designed is functional and meets the needs of the equipment we have now, but doesn't really go above and beyond, I guess. So complexity of the design, it's fairly simple, and then has a little bit of room to grow in the future. So
Definitely, there's some room to grow, and it, like Anthony says, it meets all of our
Yeah.
needs now and,
safety needs, I guess.
yeah, safety needs.
Did the aesthetics of the station now cut the cost, or will it possibly cut the cost down compared to what our first design was?
I think the aesthetics are fairly,
I know we're not going down
Pretty
prices, I'm just,
they're pretty much the same.
We got rid of the huge bank of skylights at the ridge, which was
Yeah,
a
we
huge
got,
cost.
yeah, we did get rid of some frills. We got rid of the cow wall on the front elevation.
that's where I'm thinking maybe we would have more of cost savings of
Yeah.
luxuries.
You know, we're careful with materials we're using and, you know, the heights work out well for the lengths of materials you can get, et cetera.
and we're only, we're still looking at a bunch of options, insulation options and things, there's things we're looking at to try to figure out the cost.
Is there another hand, Jerry?
Question for Bert. In your discussion, you were talking about moving the building back a little bit for the benefit of more space out front. Is there any downside to moving it back a little, as you described?
No, there really isn't. The grade works out well in the back as far as to what's there now, so it works out pretty close. And it actually works out pretty well for tying into the access road to the one, so.
Well, I wondered what you're referring to when you said moving it back a little in your initial discussion.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, compared to the existing fire station, it's moved back from the existing.
Okay, so you're talking about moving this back a little more.
No.
Then a question for Mike. How do you heat the building?
How are we heating the building?
Propane. propane boiler, radiant in the apparatus bays, or apparatus bay floors, the basement area.
Ducted
It's a
system
dual-
upstairs, right?
It's a dual boiler setup that, maybe you can,
So there's
maybe you
two-
can answer
And
that.
there's two boilers downstairs that will service the apparatus bay. It's a lead lag, so that if one goes down, we lose, you lose one, that it'll take care of about 70% of the heat need. And then we'll do some splits upstairs that'll provide heat and air conditioning. Still kind of working through some of that with the mechanical, but definitely the apparatus bay will have radiant in it. That, to me, is really important in the app bay, where radiant heat will dry the floors. It prevents slips, trips, and falls. Wintertime, I told the chief this, there was an old chief in Dover that thought you could get an additional 5 years out of a piece of apparatus with radiant heat because you draw all the moisture off it. Particularly in Jackson, right up in the north, the valley in the north country. So boiler downstairs, it'll all be wet heat, and then we'll do some splits upstairs to provide heat and air conditioning.
Backup, old-fashioned ceiling hung Modines, so if the boiler goes down completely, we're not completely out of the dark. We had that happen at the highway garage. It was a rough few months of absolutely no heat. I mean, temporary heat, but, so there's that too.
Thank you.
Other questions? Go ahead.
Just a clarification on, you said you got a little room on the front for dispatch. I don't understand how dispatch works. Do you currently have dispatch? And
It's just a radio, basically. It's a room with a radio in there that if we need to dispatch ourselves, or we want somebody at the station, so we don't have to bother Carroll County. Carroll County does our dispatch, sheriff's
So
office.
you currently don't have a dispatch function?
We have a radio sitting on top of a desk,
Okay.
but it's not like a dispatch room. The other advantage to the so this is basically a place for our radio, so that if we need to self-dispatch in an emergency, Tyrol, our radio tower is on Tyrol, and that goes down, then we have to self-dispatch. So that's what the use is for, or we get a big call, maybe somebody's hanging out at the station, hanging out on the radio, we can call them direct and ask for specific stuff, rather than bother Carroll County. Carroll County's trying to dispatch 35 fire departments, 35 police departments, highway departments, Carroll County Sheriff's.
By
Jackson
Carroll
PD.
County, you mean it's the 911?
It's Carroll County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not directly tied into that?
Well,
Or
911, if you call 911, it goes to Concord. Concord calls Carroll County Dispatch. Carroll County Sheriff's Office dispatches us. The other advantage to this is like Hurricane Irene, it's a big, this was designed specifically with sliding windows. So like if somebody, a Hurricane Irene type of deal, somebody stops at the station, we'll position somebody. If Emily's doing emergency management, maybe she'd be the one in there using that office, maybe she's in the chief's office and there's actual dispatchers. Somebody can just buzz up to the window, slide the window and talk to them. Because once we open this you gotta remember, this is the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, anytime there's a big event for the whole town, with PD, ambulance, everybody. And the public's not supposed to be in the building in an event of that. So we've made provisions to make it easily more accessible in events like that, whether it's the ice storm of '98, Hurricane Irene, any of the floods we've had, which, as everybody knows, that's more and more often.
Yeah, I mean, I think to just kind of pick up where Jay was going on that. So we all remember December 18th. So the scene there is I unfolded a card table in back of one of the trucks in the back bay and was doing all the logistics stuff that was involved in that flood. trucks are coming and going, people were in and out. I mean, it's crazy, and then somebody wants to talk to me and I'm back in behind a truck, but, you know, it's not a good scenario. So this would be a real game changer, so.
Just a couple of quick comments, but to that effect, I know there's a few people's faces here that will remember the windstorm we had back in 1980. And it was devastating for a lot of days. There was locations in the northern Bartlett-Jackson area that didn't have power for 7, 8, 10 days. So, you know, the fire department doesn't just we go out at 2:30 in February morning with no power, and we're there to try to help. And that's my whole point of this. I've said this several years, working on this thing for, what, 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah, you
But it's a building that, it's a building that houses the fire department, but it's a fire station for the town of Jackson. And in my opinion, the second upper level, providing selectmen and the fire chief are good with the reason. There's no reason in the world that a small meeting place, it's totally laid out so it's handicap accessible. It's got kitchen, it's got bath, and it can be separated, so theoretically the door could get locked to have the general public out of the apparatus area for safety and what have you. But it's a community building, and there's uses, and I'm sure nobody would argue the fact it would be really nice to have small meeting spaces over and above what we have. So it's just, there's a concept there that the whole design team and everyone that's been involved in this is, there are things this building can provide for this community more than just housing a fire station, fire department. And any emergency, any power outage, things like that, somebody from Jay on down is gonna know, even if we're not dispatched to go to our station. But the department is there to help this community, to make this community building usable for everyone. And I know John's done it a long time. And there's one heck of a lot of towns, out of the 306 towns in New Hampshire, that they use their fire stations for a lot of things, including voting and a lot of different uses. So please, just know that that's out there, and it's a building that has been designed to meet the needs of today's fire department we have, but it's certainly a big advantage to have as a town-owned, maintained, managed community building.
And that speaks to, you know, our goals, which were, you know, something that's efficient, something that's effective, something that's relevant to the town and the town's needs, and something that's durable. And when John says 50+ years, that challenges us to make sure that we've got a good, solid, durable building that will last, and a well-constructed fire and rescue station in this country today is designed to last 50+ years. So, other hands? Go ahead.
The question I have is, if I'm hearing correctly, the new building would fully accommodate the fire station and the existing site, other than, if I've heard correctly, would not be used except for parking, or is there still anticipation of some of that area that would continue to be used as part of the overall fire department facility?
You mean the old fire station?
Yeah, that, and also the area behind it. I mean,
The area behind it will definitely be all parking for fire personnel during calls. Because the idea, which drawing do I want?
Oh, behind mine.
So the idea in the design is actually working out way better than any other design. We get it, most of the people come this way. Some come to the, well, I guess it's 50-50 now. Everybody lives in Bartlett. If you're coming this way or you're coming this way, you respond towards the old house, to the highway garage, and you pull in here and park, and then you walk. This is the side. You walk in this door, and you're in the locker room. this is the locker room. So responders would come right in the locker room, grab their gear, out the door, on purpose, behind the fire trucks, not in front of them. So you go behind, and then you pick whichever truck you're going in, or how big the call is, or how many trucks are going. You know, you're not walking in front of the truck, so safety concerns. So that definitely will be all responder parking over there, for sure.
Fred, was your hand up?
I'm just concerned a little bit, nobody's talked about the ecological issues, environmental. Is there any possibility that we may run into a cleanup situation when we're doing the excavation and so forth? I don't know what that parcel has seen over the years, but since it hasn't been mentioned, I guess I'm assuming that we believe it won't be a problem.
I did 10 or 15 test pits this spring, right after town meeting, early summer. We did 15 test pits, and we knew we were gonna have some of the burnt debris from Gray's Inn. We just knew that all the way around, just like we dealt with when we did the library. I mean, I did the excavating for the library, so we know what we run into. So we know that this area is clean from test pits. There's a old septic there that we gotta deal with that's being used right now, but that's pretty minor considering. We know there's debris in here that we have to deal with. The test pits showed it, we knew it. Back in 80-something, when L.A. Drew cleaned the site up, when the town first brought this property, you know, everything got pushed over into the swimming pools. Everything went over there. So this corner, the part of the hotel that was over here, there's still some debris there, so we know we're up against that.
Where does your septic go?
The new ones? There's 2 septics are going out here.
Down there, okay.
So basically the septic that's over here now, the town office dumps into it, the fire station dumps into it, and the neighbor dumps into it, which, for those of you that don't know, there was an agreement years ago where the neighbor we had to give them septic capacity for a lot line adjustment because the old salt shed was on their property, not on town property. So it's a combination of septics. It can take these 2 smaller fields over in here, basically right out there, to accommodate the septic.
Will the neighbor's septic be able to use that as well?
It has to, yeah.
Barbara?
Am I correct to assume that there are no plans to do anything with the we'll call it the current fire station?
Not yet.
In any of this, correct?
No, we've floated around some thoughts and ideas, of course, but everybody.
But when this is proposed and presented with cost, it will not include anything with the old, or we'll call it the current fire station?
No, that'll be
Okay.
to be determined.
Yeah. And the good thing is you can still house all the apparatus and equipment in the meantime while you're building.
Yeah, well, we won't leave that building until the new one's complete.
Thank you.
Right now, you've got the forestry truck in the back
Yep.
there. You know, what happens with something like that?
Well, we could put the forestry truck, it's planned to, you know, the idea with this small door here was, you know, the forestry truck can go in there. But we still have the old army truck for flood stuff.
Right.
You know, so whether that may end up in there initially until the decisions are made as to what we'll do with the existing fire station.
Okay. So you're not planning on keeping a shed in the back for that kind of equipment?
There's really no decisions yet have been made what we're gonna do with any of those officially yet.
I imagine we'll have a more in-depth response to that by the time we get through the end of this year and end up in front of the voters in March. But this project has all been about, you know, the design and scope of this building. And we're not up here representing ourselves as anything other than, you know, people that have bandwidth challenges to the amount of time that we can put into something like this right now. And so our highest priority was to get a building that could serve the town and cost out in an accurate way and identify funding resources that could potentially impact in a major way what we're going to need to tax in order to put a station on
Right.
there.
And
Capital-
what I'm hearing there, for clarification, is that when you come up with a cost estimate later this year, that cost estimate will be for the new building, but does not include doing anything with the existing property. That if the town decides to do anything over there, then that would be additional.
Yeah, and I think first things first, and so we have not had a conversation, but by we, I mean Frank, Barb, and I, about what to do and whether to repurpose the building and to what extent. I mean, the building is dry and the building is heated, so even though it's no longer got a functional use to serve as a fire station through the years, it can certainly have value to the town. And we've certainly heard people suggest things could go in there and take up certain bays, and we've heard everything from, you know, bathrooms to police and everything in between, but we're doing our best to keep our blinders on and getting to this, knowing that, you know, if we put a bond warrant out there that gets approved in March, we'll have plenty of time to figure that out before the rolling equipment and most of the other equipment is going to vacate that premises. So, yeah, there would really need to be, I mean, to find a decon room over there, like Jay was talking about, that's where you really ended up getting cost prohibitive as far as renovating that station. But it's not like we're going to have to pour a ton of money in there to do certain things. And so at some point, we're going to turn around and want to hear input. So be thinking about it and come back for that meeting, because I'm sure it'll be an interesting discussion.
No, I just think it's important to understand the scope.
Yeah,
That the scope does not include
it does not.
anything to do with the existing facility.
Right now, all the conversation about a bond warrant has been on the new building only. Yeah. Yeah,
Question, from the time you break ground to completion, any estimates on how long that will take?
Hadn't really thought, my guess is, I'm gonna say 8 to 10 months.
That's fast.
So what's interesting is these buildings are designed 20% stronger than anything around them because they're a fire station. And the biggest piece of this fire station is wide open space. It's an apparatus bay. You frame it, you sheetrock it, you drywall it, it's done. It's it's almost half the space is the apparatus bay. So it's 10,000 square feet total, but the apparatus bay really is this. There's not much in it. So and I tell people they're just a building, although they have 20% additional strength and whatever, because if God forbid there be an event, the one building to stand would be this. But I think 8 to 10 months. That's just a gut, but typically we like to be weather tight and heated by Thanksgiving. That's a general rule of thumb. So.
and this warrant article accelerates that, because we can start in April with a shovel-ready project, rather than having to do the design and engineering after March. And so you seemed a little bit surprised about that. I was too. It's not the first time I've heard that estimate, but that's why, because we're going to have a shovel-ready project.
The other good, the shovel-ready part, by completing the design this year, spending the money designing what we need, is if we can find money, grants, whatever, being shovel-ready is a huge difference if you can apply for a grant or beg for free money somewhere and say, it's all designed. We can start digging as soon as you give us some free money.
A lot of the grant opportunities we're looking at are essentially match projects, and for us to be able to be ready to have that stuff, as we've used the word, teed up and ready to go in March, because we've done the design and engineering study, that's also going to accelerate that process. But at the same time, we can't submit a grant proposal right now for funding that we don't have. So that's where everything changes in March. And other hand, did I miss some hands that went up? Was there anybody else that, anybody that has asked questions or expressed concern want another go at us? Okay, well, I think I'm grateful and I'm very appreciative of the committee. And, you know, we've got people, you know, it might be my job and it might be Jay's, but it's not Anthony's job. And and Tim especially are two people that have just, you know, volunteered their time to do whatever they can for this project. And I feel fortunate that we've got people like that in town, and I look around the room here and plenty of people that are volunteering their time on lots of other things too. So we all know the power of volunteerism, and I'm really grateful for this crew. I don't want to keep you if there are no more questions, but Barbara, you want to close in closing?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is being filmed tonight, so Hank will have this up on Jackson Flicks in the next few days to a week. And I would encourage everyone and all of you folks to watch it again, ask any questions of the committee or the select board, tell other people about it so they can watch and become more educated about this project before town meeting, before budget time. It's really, really essential that you folks know what you're going to be voting on. I think just that can't be stressed enough. So I'm really proud of what the committee has done already, so we can be more educated when it comes time for voting. But just keep the questions coming, and of course the fire station's always open if you want to take a look at what the current status is.
And as those questions come up, you have all of our contact information. You can get anything you want to get a hold of us through the town office. So thank you very much for coming. I've really appreciated having you here to explain where we're at with this.
Thanks so much. Hi, Ben.